Okay, let's talk about something that millions of people go through. But let's be honest, we don't really discuss it all that openly. Heavy periods. I mean, how much is actually too much? And how are you supposed to know the difference between what's just your normal and what might be a sign to, pay a little closer attention? We're going to get some clear answers.
This is the big one, isn't it? That question you ask yourself, is is this normal? The answer can feel so personal and just frustratingly unclear. So in this explainer, we're going to give you the tools to actually answer that question for yourself. And we're starting with the medical definition. So first things first, the normal cycle. To even begin to figure out what might be unusual, you have to have a baseline, right? So let's just peek at the official medical rulebook. It really all boils down to three key numbers that help define what a normal cycle looks like. First up, let's look at the big picture, your total cycle length. Now, this is measured from the very first day of one period all the way to the first day of the next one. Medically speaking, the normal range is anywhere from 22 to 35 days. I know, a lot of us were taught it has to be exactly 28 days on the dot, but as you can see, there's a much, much wider window for what's considered typical. Okay, next step, how long does the actual bleeding part last? Well, according to the guidelines, a totally normal period can be as short as 2 days or last as long as 8 days. I mean, that's a huge range, and it really just goes to show how much natural variation there is from one person to the next. And here we go. This is the one that's the hardest to measure, volume. The standard range for the total amount of blood loss during your entire period is somewhere between 30 and 80 milliliters. And I know exactly what you're thinking. What in the world does 80 milliliters even look like? And here's the visual to help you out. That maximum normal amount, that 80 milliliters we were just talking about, it's about the same as 3 large tablespoons. That's it. When you actually see it put like this, it's often way less fluid than people imagine. It's such a simple comparison, but it makes that abstract number feel so much more real. So let's do a quick recap. There you have it, the 3 textbook numbers. A cycle that lasts 22 to 35 days, bleeding for 2 to 8 of those days, and losing somewhere between 30 and 80 milliliters in total. But what happens when you go beyond the textbook? Okay, so we've got the official guidelines down. But let's be real, numbers on a screen don't tell the whole story, do they? So what are the practical, real-world signs that your period might be heavier than what's considered clinically typical? This is the crucial part we're getting to right now. All right, section 2, the warning signs. Let's move away from those general numbers and get into a super practical checklist. These are the kinds of signs that might mean you're experiencing what doctors call menorrhagia, which is just the medical term for heavy menstrual bleeding. So how are you supposed to know if you're crossing that 80 milliliter line without a measuring cup, right? Well, here's that practical checklist. A huge red flag is consistently bleeding for longer than 8 days. Another one is all about the rate of bleeding. If you find yourself soaking through a pad every hour or two, or you're going through more than 6 in a single day, that's a really strong indicator that your flow is probably heavier than the clinical norm. So we've looked at the data, we've looked at the numbers, and we've gone through the clinical red flags. But now we are getting to the single most important piece of information in this entire explainer. Seriously, it goes way beyond any chart or guideline.
Just let that sink in for a second, because this right here is the ultimate takeaway. The person who best judges if their period has changed is the woman herself. Because of all those natural variations we talked about, the number one authority on whether your period is abnormally heavy is you. You are the absolute expert on your normal. A big change from your personal baseline, that is the most critical indicator of all.
So we're going to end on this thought. While all those medical numbers give us a really useful guide, they don't tell your whole story. You are the expert on your own body. So the most important question isn't just, is my period normal? It's, is this normal for me? You have to trust what your body is telling you.